Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, it is now acknowledged, are a force for perpetual embarrassment. Those the words of Tim Dillon. That is why Prince Harry, a man who would have been expected before his move stateside to be one of the faces of the FIFA World Cup being held in the United States of America, has been shut out because of his personal feud with footballing legend David Beckham.
There was a time when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were expected to dominate the global stage. Fresh off their royal wedding, they were being described as the future of the monarchy. They had celebrity connections, worldwide recognition, and seemingly unlimited opportunities ahead of them. But years later, the conversation surrounding the Sussexes has changed dramatically. With the FIFA World Cup set to take place in the United States, many assumed Prince Harry would naturally be involved in one of the biggest sporting events on the planet.
Meghan Markle.
Yes, my favorite.
A force for good, or?
Well, I think a force for a perpetual embarrassment. Perpetual.
Are you happy to have her back in the United States?
We are not. We'd love to do a trade.
Instead, reports now suggest that he may not even be invited. And according to royal commentators, this latest snub may reveal a much bigger problem facing both Harry and Meghan. Former friendships have reportedly collapsed. Powerful celebrity allies appear to have moved on. And critics increasingly argue that the Sussexes' reputation for conflict and controversy has overshadowed the influence they once enjoyed.
To me, what was very interesting about her was it seemed from the jump to me very transparent. That this is a woman who didn't want to fit into this family structure. She wanted to be a massive star. And I think she went about it all the wrong ways.
And the irony is that the royal family are, by definition, huge global stars.
That's right.
So you don't need to try that hard. You just have to do the basics.
That was her problem.
At the center of the latest drama is football icon David Beckham, a man who was once considered a close friend of Harry and Meghan, but who now appears firmly aligned with Prince William and Princess Catherine. So what exactly happened? How did Meghan and Harry go from being among the most talked about couples in the world to facing claims that even Hollywood and celebrity circles are keeping their distance?
And that perpetual embarrassment is in part why Prince Harry is being snubbed when it comes to the official World Cup events.
And is the reported FIFA snub simply about football? Or does it symbolize something much bigger about the Sussexes' changing place on the world stage? Let's get into it. For many royal watchers, the biggest surprise isn't that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle continue to generate headlines. It's the type of headlines they're generating. According to recent reports discussed by several royal commentators, Prince Harry has not been included in plans surrounding the FIFA World Cup, despite the tournament being held in the United States, the country where he and Meghan have built their post-royal life.
Prince Harry has not been invited to the FIFA World Cup final. And insiders tell Naughty But Nice the reason is simple: David Beckham. The soccer icon is expected to be one of the biggest stars at the event, while Harry won't be there at all.
The reports immediately raised eyebrows. Just a few years ago, few would have questioned Harry's place at an event of this scale. Before stepping down as a working royal, he was regularly invited to major international occasions and was often viewed as one of the monarchy's most relatable and recognizable figures. The FIFA World Cup, meanwhile, is expected to attract an extraordinary guest list. Global celebrities, political leaders, business executives, sporting legends, and members of royal families from around the world are all anticipated to attend various events connected to the tournament. And yet, according to the reports, Harry's name appears to be absent from the conversation.
This isn't about room on the guest list, an insider tells me. Football picked its prince years ago, and that prince is David Beckham. The snub carries extra sting because Harry and Meghan Markle were once close friends with David and Victoria Beckham.
What makes the situation even more striking is the contrast being drawn by royal commentators. While Prince Harry is reportedly on the sidelines, football icon David Beckham is expected to play a prominent role during the tournament. Beckham's connection to football is undeniable. Over the years, he has remained one of the sport's most recognizable ambassadors, with influence extending far beyond the pitch. His presence at major football events is often treated as a certainty. For critics of the Sussexes, however, this isn't just about football. They argue that the reported snub reflects a broader shift in how Meghan and Harry are viewed within elite circles. Once considered one of the most sought-after couples in the world, the pair have increasingly found themselves at the center of public controversies, fractured friendships, and strained relationships. Whether the FIFA reports ultimately prove accurate or not, the discussion surrounding them has already reignited an uncomfortable question for the Sussexes.
That relationship unraveled after the Sussexes allegedly accused the Beckhams of leaking stories to the British press. David never forgave it, says a source. The accusation destroyed the trust. Once that happened, there was no coming back. Since then, the Beckhams have moved firmly into Prince William's circle. David has publicly supported William's initiatives, while Princess Catherine is frequently seen wearing Victoria Beckham designs.
Have Meghan and Harry lost the influence they once had? Because for a couple who once dominated headlines for their star power and global appeal, even the suggestion that they could be excluded from one of the world's biggest events represents a remarkable change in perception. What's particularly interesting about the FIFA speculation is that many royal commentators believe the roots of this story stretch back several years to the collapse of Harry and Meghan's friendship with David and Victoria Beckham. At one point, the two couples appeared to be incredibly close. David and Victoria Beckham were among the high-profile guests who attended Harry and Meghan's royal wedding in 2018.
The Beckhams chose William, and Harry knew exactly what that meant, says an insider. The relationship has been over for years. Now the World Cup final has become the ultimate symbol of that split.
At the time, the Beckhams were considered some of the Sussexes' most influential celebrity connections, with both couples sharing global recognition and extensive media attention. But according to multiple royal commentators, that relationship later deteriorated behind the scenes. Reports emerged claiming that Meghan had become suspicious that stories about her were being leaked to the British press. According to those reports, concerns were allegedly raised about whether Victoria Beckham could have been a source of information reaching journalists.
The event will be packed with celebrities, billionaires, athletes, and world leaders. Beckham is expected to be welcomed as one of the faces of the tournament. Harry, meanwhile, is on the outside looking in.
No evidence supporting those allegations has ever been publicly presented. However, royal commentators have argued that the accusations themselves caused significant damage to the relationship between the two couples. The situation reportedly worsened during preparations surrounding the Invictus Games in Australia. According to royal biographer Angela Levin, David Beckham had agreed to travel to Australia in connection with football-related commitments and expected to meet with Prince Harry during the visit. Beckham reportedly made the journey believing the two would discuss upcoming projects and spend time together. However, Levin claims that Harry ultimately declined to meet with him. The decision reportedly left Beckham deeply frustrated. Royal commentators have suggested that Beckham viewed the situation as disrespectful, particularly given the effort involved in making the trip.
For a prince who once topped every VIP guest list, that's a remarkable fall from grace.
While neither Harry nor Beckham has publicly detailed the full circumstances surrounding the alleged incident, the story has continued to circulate in royal reporting for years. For critics of the Sussexes, it became another example of relationships that appeared to unravel following disagreements or misunderstandings. Meanwhile, the Beckhams themselves appeared to move in a different direction. Over the years, David Beckham has publicly supported several initiatives connected to Prince William. Victoria Beckham's fashion designs have also been worn by Princess Catherine on multiple occasions, further fueling speculation that the Beckhams had become much closer to the Prince and Princess of Wales. Royal commentators have repeatedly pointed to this contrast. While William and Catherine maintained strong ties with the Beckhams, Harry and Meghan were no longer publicly associated with the celebrity couple.
Of the FIFA World Cup, and you would have thought, Angela, a few years ago that he would have been one of the natural celebrities alongside the likes of Lionel Messi and David Beckham, football legends who have made their home in the US, to become part of this flagship event. But the problem is, he seems to drag down events and brands now rather than provide them with any type of royal boost.
Whether the friendship breakdown stemmed from hurt feelings, conflicting expectations, or deeper trust issues remains unclear. What is clear, however, is that a relationship once viewed as a powerful alliance no longer exists. And that is precisely why Beckham's reported involvement in World Cup events has attracted so much attention. Because if one of football's biggest ambassadors remains closely connected to royal figures on one side of the family, while Harry reportedly finds himself excluded from the same space, critics argue that the symbolism is difficult to ignore. For Meghan and Harry, the story is no longer simply about one lost friendship. To some observers, it has become part of a larger narrative, one in which former allies appear to have distanced themselves from the Sussexes, while relationships elsewhere within royal circles continue to strengthen. And fairly or unfairly, that perception may be shaping the conversation surrounding the couple more than ever before. What has made the reported FIFA snub even more noticeable is the growing contrast being drawn between Prince Harry and Meghan Markle on one side, and Prince William and Princess Catherine on the other.
And it was taking place in Australia. And David agreed that he would go and be with Harry and they would talk about it and decide what to do. Harry decided not to go because they were upset with Victoria Beckham because she didn't give Meghan the right clothes, you see.
In recent years, royal commentators have repeatedly highlighted how differently the two couples are being received on the international stage. While Harry and Meghan have often dominated headlines because of interviews, family disputes, and ongoing controversies, William and Catherine have increasingly focused on official engagements, charitable initiatives, and long-term projects connected to their royal roles. One example frequently mentioned is Prince William's Earthshot Prize initiative, which has attracted support from a range of public figures and global organizations. The project has helped position William as a future monarch focused on environmental innovation and international collaboration. At the same time, Princess Catherine has remained one of the most popular members of the royal family, regularly receiving widespread praise for her public appearances and charitable work. Royal commentators have also pointed to the Beckhams as an example of this changing dynamic. David Beckham has publicly supported causes associated with Prince William, while Victoria Beckham's designs have been worn by Princess Catherine on several occasions. Although none of this necessarily suggests hostility toward Harry and Meghan, observers have noted that the Beckhams now appear far more closely connected to the Waleses than to the Sussexes.
David Beckham went all the way to Australia, and Harry said that he'd got no time to see him. He doesn't want to see him. He's too busy. So there was Harry sort of getting ready to be with a football match, a very important one, and he was left very rudely.
This contrast has become increasingly difficult to ignore. When Harry and Meghan stepped back from royal duties in 2020, many predicted they would become an unstoppable global brand. They secured high-profile deals and generated enormous public interest, with supporters believing they would thrive independently from the institution they had left behind. However, several years later, critics argue that the reality has been more complicated. Some of their projects have received mixed reactions. Certain partnerships have come to an end, and public discussions surrounding the couple often focus less on their achievements and more on the controversies that continue to follow them. Meanwhile, William and Catherine have maintained a more traditional approach, avoiding public disputes and remaining closely tied to official royal responsibilities. For royal watchers, this difference in strategy may help explain why stories like the FIFA reports attract so much attention. Because to them, the issue isn't simply whether Prince Harry receives an invitation to a football tournament. It's what that invitation, or lack of one, might represent. A few years ago, Meghan and Harry were widely seen as the monarchy's modern, celebrity-friendly power couple.
And the fact that they lashed out and blamed Victoria and David Beckham was embarrassing, and it backfired on them so badly because, look, the Beckhams don't do that. The Beckhams don't like the media either. They don't leak stories on their celebrity mates, okay?
It's a terrible thing to say about somebody, isn't it, really, without any real good evidence.
Well, if it's not
But
true,
they're so
and it
grand,
wasn't
you see.
true.
Today, some commentators believe that title belongs elsewhere. And whether people agree with that assessment or not, the comparison between the two couples continues to shape the public conversation surrounding the Sussexes. Of course, supporters of Meghan and Harry would argue that the couple have been unfairly criticized for years and subjected to an extraordinary level of scrutiny. However, even some of the Sussexes' critics acknowledge that media attention alone doesn't explain why stories about fractured relationships continue to follow them. Instead, they point to a recurring pattern. Over the years, several individuals who were once believed to be part of Meghan and Harry's inner circle have seemingly drifted away. The reported fallout with David and Victoria Beckham is often cited as one example. According to royal commentators, accusations that private information had been leaked to the press created tensions that ultimately damaged the friendship beyond repair. Critics also argue that Harry and Meghan have frequently chosen to address personal grievances publicly, whether through interviews, documentaries, or Prince Harry's memoir. While supporters see these decisions as an attempt to tell their side of the story, opponents believe they have contributed to an image of a couple constantly engaged in conflict.
Meghan feels so grand, like you just said. She looks very high, and Harry follows her, dunk 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 behind her, and it's they're getting punished for all their bad things that they've been done for people and let people down and been rude. And nobody wants to see them. Nobody wants to know them. I mean, it's cringing, isn't it?
For some observers, that perception matters. Public figures often rely not only on popularity, but also on professional relationships, trust, and discretion. When controversies repeatedly dominate headlines, people inevitably begin questioning whether those relationships become more difficult to maintain behind the scenes. At the same time, Meghan and Harry have continued to insist that stepping away from royal duties allowed them to gain independence and control over their own narrative. Yet critics argue that the transition has produced mixed results. Several of the couple's ventures have generated intense media interest, but not always for the reasons they may have hoped. Announcements that initially appeared promising have sometimes been overshadowed by negative press coverage, public criticism, or speculation about tensions with former associates. Whether those perceptions are entirely justified remains open to debate. What cannot be denied, however, is that the Sussexes continue to divide public opinion, unlike almost any other royal figures.
It is a big event. And look, I know the FIFA World Cup is not a British event. Of course it's not. It's an international event, but it is being held in America, and the UK has this natural affinity with football. And just a few years ago, you would absolutely have imagined that Harry would be at the heart of an event like that, just like in the past he was at the heart of, for example, the London 2012 Olympics. But that was always alongside his brother, Prince William.
To some people, Meghan and Harry are courageous individuals who chose personal freedom over institutional expectations. To others, they represent a couple who have repeatedly alienated those around them through poor decisions, public disputes, and damaged trust. And perhaps that is why reports surrounding events like the FIFA World Cup resonate so strongly. Because the conversation quickly becomes about something much bigger than football. It becomes a discussion about influence, about reputation, about whether the couple who once appeared capable of reshaping the monarchy have instead become increasingly isolated from the powerful networks they once moved within. Fairly or unfairly, that question continues to follow Meghan and Harry wherever they go. And as long as stories about broken friendships and missed opportunities keep emerging, it is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. Adding another layer to the FIFA discussion is the possibility that Prince William could still make an appearance at the tournament. According to royal commentators, William's attendance has not been ruled out, particularly if England progresses to the later stages of the competition.
What is going to be very interesting too, Angela, and this could be even more mortifying for Harry, there is the prospect at least of William travelling to the United States of America for the FIFA World Cup. However, it looks like he will only do so if the England team go particularly well.
The Prince of Wales has long maintained a visible connection to football. He has served as president of the Football Association and has regularly attended major matches involving the England national team. As a result, many royal observers would not be surprised to see him associated with World Cup events should circumstances align. If that were to happen, the contrast with Prince Harry would be impossible to ignore. After all, just a decade ago, both brothers were frequently viewed as the modern faces of the royal family. They attended major public events together, worked alongside one another on charitable initiatives, and were often praised for bringing a more relatable image to the monarchy. Today, however, their public roles could not look more different. William remains firmly embedded within the institution he was born into. As heir to the throne, his responsibilities continue to expand, and his international appearances are closely linked to his future position as king. Harry, meanwhile, chose a very different path. In 2020, he and Meghan stepped down as senior working royals and relocated to California in search of greater independence and privacy. At the time, many believed the Sussexes would redefine what life after royalty could look like. Their global profile was enormous. Public interest in the couple was unprecedented, and opportunities appeared limitless. Yet the years that followed proved more complicated. And while Meghan and Harry remained among the most talked about couples in the world, much of the attention centered around controversy, strained family relationships, and debates about their public image. Meanwhile, William and Catherine adopted a markedly different approach.
I mean, what I'm very interested with, Angela, though, is is there going to be a visit for the 250th centenary celebrations of the USA? I know there had been hope for that, and it just seems the further we go on, the less likely that becomes.
Rather than speaking publicly about private disputes, they continued to focus on official engagements, charitable projects, and causes associated with their royal duties. Supporters of the Sussexes argue that comparisons between the two couples are unfair. They point out that Harry and Meghan no longer represent the monarchy in an official capacity, and therefore should not be judged by the same standards. Critics, however, see things differently. They argue that Meghan and Harry spent years building a public brand that relied heavily on their royal connections, while simultaneously distancing themselves from the institution itself. As a result, stories that place William and Harry on opposite sides of major events inevitably attract enormous attention. The FIFA World Cup may simply be the latest example. Because if Prince William ultimately attends one of football's biggest occasions, while Prince Harry remains absent despite living in the host country, many commentators believe it would serve as a powerful illustration of how dramatically their lives have diverged. Two brothers, two very different choices, and two completely different public trajectories. Whether people sympathize more with William or Harry often depends on their perspective. But one thing is difficult to dispute. The image of the brothers standing side by side as the monarchy's future has long since faded. And as the next chapter of the royal story continues to unfold, moments like these remind the public just how much has changed in a remarkably short period of time. Whether Prince Harry was officially excluded from FIFA events or not, the conversation surrounding these reports says a lot about how public perceptions of the Sussexes have changed. Just a few years ago, Meghan and Harry were viewed as one of the world's most influential couples. They had royal status, celebrity connections, and the attention of millions across the globe. Today, discussions about the pair often center around strained relationships, former friendships that didn't survive, and questions about whether their influence is beginning to fade. At the same time, Prince William and Princess Catherine appear to be strengthening their positions both within the royal family and on the international stage. Of course, opinions on Meghan and Harry remain deeply divided. Some believe they've been unfairly targeted, while others argue that the consequences they're facing are the result of their own decisions. But if the FIFA speculation has proven anything, it's this. People are paying close attention to who still stands beside the Sussexes and who doesn't. What do you think? Is this latest controversy being blown out of proportion, or does it reflect a much bigger shift in Meghan and Harry's public standing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.